Aaron Rodgers walking the beach with a towel on as he's released. This is footage. I don't know when it was captured. Some of the reports are saying it was like really, really recent this morning. Got a towel walking around the beach. I don't know. He's currently available now, as is little Cooper Kupp. Where do they land? Question marks above their heads right here. But we don't have any questions about where this man, Evan Engram, is going to play football in 2025. He signed a 2-year deal with the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton cooking in the kitchen. This is a great landing spot. Number one, I like this tight end in 2025 best ball or non-best ball or even dynasty if you're buying low. He is going so late. He's been one of my most targeted options at the tight end position in 2025 because he goes so outside the top 12. It's not even funny. I don't even know what rank he is. He's like tight end 15, tight end 14. Everybody predicting injury or just worried about where he was going to land. He instantly becomes a top 7 to 10 potential tight end. And I don't know if he climbs all the way to, 10 or 12 or 14. I don't know how high this move will make him climb, but he's certainly going to climb. But love this landing spot. Denver is going to do good things. This is the perfect tight end for Bo Nix. We've got a whole bunch of other news to go over. Russell Wilson. Where will Aaron Rodgers be? The current report, most recently, I'll go over that in a second, is not including the Minnesota Vikings any longer. But you never know. Could be smoke and mirrors. The fantasy football show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
As I said, Aaron Rodgers was seen, just walking around the beach. Here, let me read this exact thing. Aaron Rodgers spotted on alone on the beach with a blanket and earphones in. Rodgers is contemplating whether he's going to play football or not this year. It does look like somebody contemplating not where he's going as much as whether he's going to play again. You know what I mean? Like, you might even hand this man $1 if you saw him on the beach right there. So we'll find out. The current word, though, is, and this coming from our people over at Underdog, make sure you get on over to Underdog. Promo code Smitty will get you 50% match on your first deposit and a bonus pick in your account. But, this is the Falcons report. Let's see here. Where's the one that I was going to pull up? It was suggesting that the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes is now down to, let me see if I can find that report. I got it here somewhere clipped. It's down to, here it is. Rodgers choosing between the Steelers and the Giants. And this was as of 11 seconds ago when I clipped it about 5 minutes ago. So 5 minutes and 11 seconds old. Aaron Rodgers choosing between Steelers and Giants. Where'd this information come from? It says it right here, Rap Sheet. And I actually heard it from his own mouth say it. So this report is legit. Rap Sheet, at least, said that it is between the Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no more talk about Minnesota for Aaron Rodgers. And the word is, and what I've heard from several different reports, people that I trust, not calling them sources necessarily, but people I feel like are dialed in as much as anybody could be, I'm hearing that they're completely moving in the direction of JJM. Doesn't mean there can't be smoke and mirrors going on, but from what I'm gathering, it does feel like we're talking about a complete and 100% commitment to J.J. McCarthy at this point. With all the money that they've spent, in addition, is kind of like reading the tea leaves, I think, for most people at this point. So Rodgers choosing between the Steelers and the Giants, that's where we're at right now with A-Rod. Again, real quickly, back to just this Evan Engram 2-year deal with the Denver Broncos. This is fantastic. I really think this is the gem, the diamond in the rough, the Jonnu Smith potentially of the 2025 tight end pool. As we walk into 2025, we're all trying to comb through it and find Jonnu Smith. Guess what? Jonnu Smith is Jonnu Smith. The 2025 version of the 2024 version of Jonnu Smith is Jonnu Smith because he's going around like 8 and 9. I don't know why no one's reacting to his 2024 campaign. So at the end of the day, Jonnu Smith is his own Jonnu Smith. But if you're looking for somebody even deeper in a draft or an additional player, then Evan Engram is your guy. And he was going around like tight end, 13, 14, 15. It just depended where you're drafting. Even later in some cases. He was going in like double-digit rounds for sure. Now I don't know where he climbs. I think he climbs into the top 12, maybe top 8. It depends who you're drafting with, how astute they are, what do they know, what do they not know. But this is a good location, and this is going to get people humming. This is going to get people talking. It's going to get people hyped up and ready to rumble. And I think that there's going to be one or two wild bills in your draft that are going to pull the trigger earlier. So I don't anticipate him falling outside the top 8 to 12. But he is certainly still at this moment in time, as of March 12th, right after the announcement of him being a Denver Bronco, he's still looking like he's in the double-digit rounds or just right on the tail end of getting into that territory. Russell Wilson, this is what makes me think. Let me just give you my breakdown on this. My guesstimation, and I don't have any inside information on this. I think that this right here tells me that the Steelers are going to go all in on A-Rod. And I think A-Rod has got a decision to make. I'm not saying I'm predicting this. I'm going to predict this right. But I do believe when you look at the grand scheme of things and you say the Giants want A-Rod, but they also want to get on with their future, and A-Rod can't be a part of that. He's a bridge. He's trying to get this team, he's trying to save jobs essentially in New York for 1 year. But the real solution for the Giants is to go get Ward. It's to give up the farm, to move from 3 to 1. The Titans are vulnerable. The Titans don't know what to do with the pick anyway. You're gonna overpay. You go get Ward. This is the only thing that makes sense to me. Now, Joe Scheinbach's, the GM over in New York, is one of the worst GMs in the league. So this is where I have to part ways with logic and say that just because I think this is the right move doesn't mean I can predict it to be the outcome. Understand what I'm saying? I'm predicting this to be the outcome because I want it to be the outcome, because logic tells me this is the outcome. Bet the farm on Cam Ward. Trade up for Cam Ward. Give Nabers Cam Ward. Don't give Nabers Aaron Rodgers, which will be his second quarterback in 2 years, his first rookie year. But he had a rotation of garbage his rookie year. So new quarterback situation, his second in 2 years, which will then in turn make him have a third quarterback situation entering year 3. Nobody wants that for this maturing monster that's named Malik Nabers, that's going to the moon, that has every capability of being the number 1 wide receiver in the National Football League. This guy, Malik Nabers, he can be the guy. He can be the number 1 player in the National Football League at the wide receiver position. And we even have our new Malik Nabers drop, if I can locate where I put the damn button somewhere. I didn't have it handy, did I? Or did I?
Neighbor.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Won't you be my neighbor?
In a distant galaxy far away, a planet called Neighboron had an extinction-level event which caused utter collapse. One pod escaped containing a young boy, the last of his kind, drifting off course after an asteroid shower encounter. The pod found its way into Earth's orbit and crash-landed on a small farm. On this farm, the young boy lived a normal and hidden life, until his powers became evident and his mission and purpose became clear. His name was to be Nabers after his home planet. He would comb the earth looking to save all that needed his help. At first, Nabers was keeping up with all who needed his help, but he couldn't do it alone. He needed a sidekick to truly become invincible and turn into a supernova.
And with the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select
That's the story that we need to be told in New York, not a story of Aaron Rodgers. But if A-Rod goes to New York, he'll definitely throw to Nabers and we'll be fine. But my whole thing here, I went on a big song and dance tirade, side tangent, sidecar type of conversation here, because I'm trying to tell you guys that the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers are not pulling this man back, and this is the last resort if they don't get Aaron Rodgers. The fact that this man isn't waiting in the bushes at the facility in Pittsburgh, just waiting because he wants to be a Pittsburgh Steeler so bad. The fact that he's actually venturing off to interview with the Browns and the Giants. This is the report right here. Scheduled free agent meetings with Russell Wilson, the Browns first, then the Giants. Tells me that the Steelers have gone in a certain direction and they're all in on that direction because this man's already heading elsewhere. This also applies a lot of pressure to Pittsburgh to say, holy shit, our secondary plan's going off and we're now going to lose the secondary plan, plan B. We must really push down hardcore on plan A, which makes me think that this announcement of Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers makes a lot of sense, and I think they try and get it done quickly. And also think about it from Aaron Rodgers' standpoint. You're not winning a Super Bowl in New York. You're playing with Nabers is exciting. The market's nice. It's New York. He might be kind of intrigued about that. But if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're walking the beach in a towel and people are handing you $1 bills because they don't know you're Aaron Rodgers. They're like, here, guy, get something to eat. Get in there. Get in a warm area. You know that this man he's contemplating. He's got 1 year left. He also needs to be placed in an environment where he's supported greatly. He needs to have options galore, a defense, a winning coach. Even though we don't like Tomlin for the playoffs, obviously. He's a failure in the playoffs. But this guy does know how to get his team to the playoffs. And Aaron Rodgers is going to like that. Let me sleepwalk straight into a playoff appearance, right? That's what A-Rod's thinking. And this is the easiest way for me to contribute. It's the most likely way for me to contribute well. And it's the most likely scenario where I get the closest to a Super Bowl, even if it's just making the playoffs and losing in round one. At least you're not going to New York and missing the playoffs, and then your legacy's kind of tarnished because you went to another location to just kind of be bland. He already did that in New York. New York didn't help his legacy at all. I'm not saying it tarnished it necessarily, but it certainly wasn't a good part of his legacy. It's one he'll kind of want to omit. And you don't want to do two of those because then it really dumbs down and waters down the memory people have of you. And Aaron Rodgers is worried about that, even if he says he isn't. It only makes sense to me that Aaron Rodgers goes to the mother freaking Steelers. It's the only logical move. And if the Steelers miss the boat on this, who are they going after? Russell Wilson's already going this way. It's going to be intriguing. Kirk Cousins, maybe? Pittsburgh? If Pittsburgh gets put in a box, will they contact the Falcons? And this report here, Falcons are expected to retain Kirk Cousins through at least Sunday. $10 million of his 2026 salary becomes guaranteed. He could be a name we hear all of a sudden because Pittsburgh, crapped the boat. And they didn't... and they're sinking it. They put 4 holes in it, and they're sinking the boat, and they're like, let's go after Kirk Cousins. Jameis Winston's also another player. If the Steelers miss on Aaron Rodgers, and let's say he does go to the Giants or he retires, the Steelers have 2 options. Jameis Winston and trying to acquire Kirk Cousins. They will go in those directions. They'll have to. Otherwise, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Who are they going to bring in? Danny Dimes is even gone. So this makes me think the Steelers are the option. And again, if you're Aaron Rodgers, it makes the most sense. It's the only shot you have to make the playoffs. And then from there, in his egotistical mind, and I don't mean that in a negative way, he's a quarterback. Every quarterback's egotistical, and you want that for your quarterback. But in his egotistical mind, he's thinking, you get me to the playoffs. You walk me in there. And that's what he's thinking. I don't have to work as hard. We can make the playoffs. You walk me into the playoffs. I don't have to do as much during games where defense, where low-scoring games, is Tomlin's style. You walk me into the playoffs and let me see if I can, one game at a time, one foot in front of the other, march us as far along the playoff journey as I can before I retire into the sunset and walk the beach in a towel every single day for the rest of my life, is what Aaron Rodgers is thinking, in my opinion. And then in Russell Wilson, Giants, Browns, I don't want him to be a New York Giant. The only solace we have in that is that at least Nabers would have somebody to throw him the ball. They'd be moon balls, granted, and he'd have a higher likelihood of getting leveled and injured. But the thing is, if you're the Giants and you take Russell Wilson, if you're the Giants and you take Russell or Aaron Rodgers, you're still very likely to draft one of the two top quarterbacks, Sanders or Ward. Ward, of course, you would draft over Sanders if you're still sitting there at 3 and you're the Giants. So you bring in Russell Wilson, you draft Shador. Shador takes the job from him before week 1 starts or during the middle of the year. So at the end of the day, Nabers will probably still have his quarterback. I cannot see the Giants taking Russell Wilson and not grabbing Ward or Sanders. But again, logic isn't always at play here. For those that missed the earlier live stream, go watch that stream that's on Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was released. Where is he going to go? I think that we're just all guessing at this point. Buffalo makes the most sense logically, but they won't go after him probably. The next best location might be a place like Dallas or a place like, literally the list goes on and on because he isn't so good because he's losing his step and we don't know where he's at. He's not so good that any team's going to go get him. It's like if Higgins was, let's say, he's franchise tagged, so he's not a free agent. But if Higgins was a free agent right now, guess who'd be going and getting Higgins? Baltimore, Buffalo, the Broncos, the Bengals would still probably try. Everybody would try. Why wouldn't you try? They're still, even if he was a free agent, they still try. Everybody would try. Now, I still think he resigns with the Bengals. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, in fairy tale land, if he was just a free agent, someone snapped their fingers, everyone would be vying for him. Everyone. So guess where he'd go? The best possible team that offers the best amount of money. With Cooper Kupp, it's tricky because he doesn't have that kind of pull, so he might end up with a non-winning team. He might end up with a 500 team or a sub-500 team or a team like New England that's trying to get somewhere and they need a receiver to help develop May. They want a younger guy. They'll draft a younger guy. They might even still draft Ted McMillan, but still bring in Cooper Kupp, but they want May to have weapons. Kupp to the Raiders could make some sense. I could see that happening because they still kind of need, I know some of you like Jacoby Myers, but they still need a wide receiver one. KC makes some sense. The Dallas Cowboys make a ton of sense. San Francisco might be interested in Kupp depending on the price tag. If I'm the Washington Commanders, I bring Kupp in a millisecond. And I think Adam Peters will consider it because it gives them that extra piece that'll help JD5 thrive now. So the Cooper Kupp sweepstakes, everyone's guess is as good as anybody else's guess. There's no logic that you can really apply to that situation similar to another player. As I said, the Falcons are expected to keep Kirk Cousins, again, underdog, code Smitty. Hit this link right here that's in the live chat pinned. And let me drop that link one more time. Actually, it's not pinned. I'll pin it in the live chat. If anybody would like to jump in to an underdog draft, when we do those at night, make sure you're signed up now ahead of time. Hit that link. I'll pin the link in the live chat. That link will allow you to draft with us, and even so, draft right now anyway, and take advantage of all these values we talk about constantly. But we'll get more information on Kirk Cousins. I still think there's a potential trade. Is it time to talk about the Eagles' defense a little bit? Eagles' defense, their losses are pretty big. You got Milton, you got Sweat, you've got Slay, you've got Isaiah Rodgers, you got Gardner Johnson, all gone. I know they're gonna do a good job in the draft. Howie Roseman's amazing at acquisitions and draft capital, but this is quite a nutsack kick in a way, So I'm just curious what you guys think. And assuming they replenish a lot in the draft, you can't guarantee you're landing these kinds of guys. What's everyone think of the Eagles defense? How much of a drop does it take? If it was the number one defense in the league in your mind prior to the offseason, starting to unravel for all these teams, including the Eagles in terms of defense, where are they ranked now with the assumption that they do good in the draft? Does anybody drop them significantly? I'm just curious where you guys have them. Eagles are done, says True Penguin. Classic rival fandom statement by Penguin, dropping his biased comment. I love you, Penguin, but that's wild. Toner says still top 5. Interesting. Ward or Dart to DK. Yeah. You know, that is true, Freedom. And Freedom, glad to have you back, bro. I don't know why you ever left. Don't worry. Look, we're a bickering group, okay? We're a bickering family. I ask you to get along with my moderators is the only thing. But Freedom, no one wanted you to leave. No one wants you to leave. I love having all of you here. We spilled the milk at Thanksgiving dinner. Big deal. But you're right. There is a chance that potentially the Steelers get ultra aggressive in the draft. You know? And there's a potential that some slippage happens. So maybe they trade up too, you know, in this draft and try and get Dart somewhere pretty high. It's possible. You know, that would be the last resort, I suppose, is to go get a Dart. It doesn't feel like a Tomlin move, but, I mean, they'll be out of options at some point. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we got BBQ dropping a $10 holler. My boy BBQ in the building. Doing it live. Steelers will trade Pickens. Why keep 2 wide receivers with the same skill set? They need underneath route specialists to go with DK, Freiermuth, and those other 2 guys on the milk cartons they have. I don't disagree. I think that Pickens is probably, if I had to guess, going to make a big stink here soon. But his time to make a stink is between now and the NFL draft. If he's quiet through the NFL draft, he's not using his head. If he tries to make noise after the NFL draft, he's absolutely out of his mind, because this is the time to make noise. The now draft capital you can get in return in a trade and a player for pick swap is intriguing to teams. After the draft is over, no one cares. Teams are going to be like, I don't care what you want. Get on the field or hold out. We don't care. I'm not going to go trade for a 2026 pick. We're in it for the now, pal. Like, if we were going to move you, we move you for now draft capital and replace you. So, and not to mention all the players are being signed right now. Like, if Pickens was going to make a stink, he needs to do it and fast, because when Amari Cooper's gone and all these receivers are gone, then you can't even replace him. But you do wonder at what point Pickens says to himself, hey, you know what? If I complain and get them to trade me, the team that acquires me is going to give me a contract, because no one's trading for a player like Pickens' draft capital without a long-term deal in place. If Pickens complains and gets himself traded, he gets $25 to $30 million per year immediately upon the trade. Thank you, BBQ, for dropping the gifted, or the $10 super chat. And BBQ dropped another one. Let me get that one on screen as well. Red dropping a $5 holler. Red, appreciate you with the super chat. BBQ with another one says, I think A-Rod knows if he signs with the Giants, he's just a placeholder. If he goes to Pittsburgh, he's got no competition. And if he goes to Pittsburgh, he has a chance to win a Super Bowl in his mind. He knows in New York he's not. You have to know that. But in Pittsburgh, we know he's not winning a Super Bowl. But in his mind, this is the best shot. He can taste it, right? It's at least in front of his eyes. Eagles will still be top 6 team in the NFL. Smitty, haven't you seen any AI movies? We can't trust them. Red, it doesn't matter. Like, we either go down with AI and have a good time, or AI takes us out anyway, and we're what? Oh, don't take me out. And they're just going to wipe you out. Like, why not befriend them? Don't you think having AI available to us puts us in a better position to maybe, I don't know, last a little longer in the fight against AI? I will say movies are always correct, though. Terminator, it's all coming true. Yeah, all of it's true. Driving cars and Total Recall. Total Recall looks so accurate right now. Remember the driving car? We're like, no way! How is it going to do that? and then making a colony on Mars and making Mars, terraforming Mars. It's all going to happen. Like, Total Recall is the most accurate movie I think I can think of. And God, it's just getting closer. And when you see these movies where the date that they projected all this to happen, when we're past that date, it's kind of scary. Okay, So anyway, Evan Engram, great move. Anybody else have any comments about the Eagles losing all these pieces? I mean, it's got to be talked about. I feel like no one's talking about it right now. I'm looking all over on X, and everyone's just like, they list the losses, but everyone's just assuming the Eagles will be fine on defense because they're Super Bowl champs. But this is, it reminds me a lot. They lose their OC, just like they lost their OC, and then they had a step back year where they took a big step backwards. They took a big step forward, getting Kellen Moore back on, changing the defensive coordinator, all that. But now losing all these defensive pieces, then losing their offensive coordinator again in Kellen Moore, you got to wonder what could happen potentially to the Eagles this coming season. I certainly don't think I would bank on them winning the Super Bowl again with all the defensive losses. Had they kept their entire defense, and retained them, I'd feel a little different. I'd feel a little bit different. I think, it's crazy. Okay, we'll probably open the phone lines now.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the phone line. Hey, Krueger, what do you think about Evan Engram signing with the Denver Broncos? He's probably the best free agent tight end signing that anybody could have brought in. And then second, what were his stats last year and then the year prior? And how old is he?
Evan Engram signing with the Broncos is definitely a big move. He's 30 years old, and last season he had a fantastic year with over 110 receptions, 960 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The year before, he posted 73 receptions, 766 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's been a reliable target, so he's a great addition to their offense.
Were the stats that you spit out as 2023 stats? What did he do in 2024, stat-wise?
My mistake on those stats. For 2024, Evan Engram had 94 receptions for 891 yards and 6 touchdowns. His 2023 stats were 110 receptions for 900.
He's right. You're wrong. He had 365. Good thing I'm double checking you. You're still learning. It's okay. But Evan Engram in 2024 had 47 receptions for 365 yards and 1 touchdown. Krueger.
Got it. Thanks for the correction, Smitty. Good thing you're keeping me on my toes. Engram's 47 receptions for 365 yards and 1 touchdown in 2024 is noted. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah, let's forget that ever happened. But he had he had the 963 and 4 touchdowns in 2023. He had the 766 and 4 the year prior. What's the probability of Evan Engram in your calculations? And I know you're just guessing. What's the probability at his age, with his injury history, of staying healthy in the 2025 fantasy football season?
Considering Evan Engram's age and his past injury history, the probability of him staying healthy for the entire 2025 fantasy season might be moderate. He's a talented player, but given that he's 30 and has had some injury concerns, there's always a risk. I'd estimate his chances of making it through without significant injuries might be around 60 to 70%, but that's just a rough guess. It's always a bit unpredictable. Would you like me to keep an eye on any updates for him?
Yeah, thank you. That's interesting. I think looking at it, if it's up to me, I'm gonna say Engram has. Let's put it along the lines of this, in between these two seasons. I'm going to say 800 yards. So instead of 766 and 963, okay, I'm going to say 800 yards. And instead of, 2017, he had 6 TDs. In 2018, he had 3, 3, 1, 3, 4, 4, 1. I'm going to say he resorts back to a touchdown hog. Give him 806. 806 on, let's call it reception-wise, let's call it 65 receptions, 800 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Evan Engram might be a Mars man. I appreciate what Krueger's throwing down in terms of the injury risk, but this might be a top. We'll just call him a top 10. Call him a top 10 tight end lock for me. but somebody that could breach the top 5. Like every year people say, Smitty, find this tight end that can breach the top 5 that's drafted outside the top 10 tight ends. Evan Engram is the clear winner. And I don't know that he'll get drafted outside the top 10 moving forward, but it certainly looks like he will at this current moment in time. Go ahead, Travis, you're live. Hello? You there, Travis? You on mute? Travis, try calling in again. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, this will be interesting. The Evan Engram experience. All right, Travis, sorry, I don't know what happened there. You're live, Travis.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so with Engram, I think it works out well for them because they have, Mims and Franklin as their second receivers right now, and Melee too. So they don't necessarily have to go after another big receiver. I mean, they might draft someone or pick up a veteran or something, but if they don't, that really leaves a lot of opportunity for Evan Engram in that offense.
Yeah. 20 gifted memberships by BBQ. Thank you, BBQ. Appreciate you. I'm trying to fix my alerts so that we can see that. BBQ dropping 20 gifted memberships. What a monster. Yeah, I just think that, injury is a concern. Krueger's right. There's but his probability of what was it, staying healthy, what do you say, 60%?
He said, 60 to 70% of significant injury, which I guess that's semantics,
Yeah,
Depends on what you mean.
I could literally
I would say there's
just
60-70% of him staying healthy without missing any time.
I could easily tell Krueger that. I could easily say, Krueger, don't you think it's the opposite? He'd be like, you're right, Smitty. So let's not give Krueger too much pull here. He's still learning the game. I could tell him literally today that we're no longer doing the fantasy football show. We're now doing a soccer show, and he wouldn't miss a beat. He'd be like, oh, great. Can't wait. Love soccer, Smitty. Great choice. So we got to be a little careful. Actually, let's trick him real quick. Let's see if I don't know. I'm afraid to do this because I don't. Hey, Krueger.
You could screw up his learning.
Krueger, we decided to not do the fantasy football show anymore.
That's a big change, Smitty. What made you decide to stop the fantasy football show?
I'm just kidding, Krueger. Total joke. This is my life. I'd never give up the fantasy football show, just like I'd never give up you. I can't quit you.
You had me going for a second there, Smitty. I'm glad to hear that. Let's keep this show yet.
We're never giving up. We're never giving up on the fantasy football show. We got 30. Actually, how many subscribers do we have, Krug?
You've got 31,765 subscribers. Your community is growing strong.
And we're going to what? What's our next milestone and how quickly we doing it, pal?
Your next milestone could be 35,000 subscribers.
100, Krueger. Take a lap. 100 is the answer.
Got it. Aiming for 100,000 subscribers. Let's go big. We'll make it happen, Smitty.
All right, and next time anybody jokes around with you about quitting this channel, you shut that down and don't believe it. Don't be gullible. Do it live.
Got it, Smitty. I'll always take your commitment seriously and shut down any jokes about quitting. We're in this together.
I'll shut down any jokes about you quitting. That's the kind of confidence a kid. Yeah, when you're a kid, that's the kind of confidence you needed from like your dad and all the male figures in your life, you know? Like, I'll shut down anybody that talks about you being a quitter, son. Anyway, what I was gonna say, thank you, Krug, appreciate you. Yeah, don't take Krug's injury prediction to heart yet. He's still learning that part. He doesn't actually have in my opinion yet, a very good model for predicting the injury. Earmuffs, Krueger. Krueger the Krueger. But I think that yeah, I mean, predicting at 30 an injury, I'd say 30% chance of getting hurt is likely. How many games though? I'd say 30% chance of missing maybe 3 to 6 games. But that's all baked in as we say here on the channel. Baked in.
boys?
Krueger knows. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers right now? He's walking the beach, or he was this morning, in a towel, looking like he's trying to collect money. And, do you think what I said was logical? That Pittsburgh has to be his choice? I mean, why would you come back? Why would you be looking like this on the beach and you decide to come back for the Giants? I know Nabers is amazing, but your career is going to end. You got 1 year left, and you're gonna contemplate it on the beach like this, and you're coming back to the Giants? I think there's no way. He's coming back to try and win one more Super Bowl to cement his legacy. Not saying he will win it, but in his mind, the Steelers are and honestly, think about it. Like, we can make fun of Aaron Rodgers, we can make fun of Tomlin, we can make fun of the Steelers, but Aaron Rodgers probably still has his arm, I think, especially if you put him in a limited capacity. Like, the Jets, he had to do it all himself, and he wasn't really built for that anymore. You put him in Pittsburgh, he's game managing, and he can game manage probably better than anybody because he's still intelligent. And you've got DK Metcalf and George Pickens. As much as we make fun of George Pickens, if they keep him, he's a fantastic option. But even if he lost Pickens, they trade him. You've got Calvin Austin, speedy guy. I like Calvin Austin a lot if he's called upon. Even if he's playing the slot and he's the third receiver and is off the field during two wide receiver sets, I still like him as the second most productive receiver on this offense, even if they bring in a two. DK Metcalf is a refrigerator, just running downfield, just a 7-foot refrigerator. And I just think Aaron Rodgers, any inaccuracies or loss of step or loss of ability to thread a needle, if there is any loss, between last year and this year, DK kind of closes that gap. And if they get the right run game going, it seems like Jaylen Warren right now. They brought in Kenny Gainwell, right? Kenny Gainwell. Yep. To back up Warren, and they might draft a rookie. They could draft Scat. They draft Scattaboo. They could draft someone. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not saying they'll win a Super Bowl, but is this a team that could win one game in the first round of the playoffs? Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it totally is.
And I would say if he hadn't experienced what he did with the Jets, where it was all on him, and it was just like, if he wasn't able to put it together, they weren't doing anything. If he hadn't experienced that, he might think, well, screw it, I can do it. I'll go to the Giants and put him on my back with Nabers. But if he's being realistic and, about what's best for him right now, like I just said, the Steelers are a way better situation for all the reasons you just said.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's he going to do with the Giants? I mean, yeah.
Oh, hey.
They have Wandale and Slayton and Nabers. They can chuck it. But
hey, I got to go again real quick. I'll be back for the 8 p.m. show or sooner, but I do got to jump right now on a hard break. But I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back, guys. Appreciate you all. Thanks, Travis. Call back tonight. And I got to run out the door again. I'll be gone for about 35 to 40 minutes. I've had some things I got to take care of, and some drop-offs and different things that I got to do. Got to head to the post office real quick. I'll be back. Hopefully the news doesn't break while I'm gone, but you know how we do it. We go live when news breaks. I'll see you here very shortly. We're back at 8 p.m. no matter what, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is in roughly about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Thank you, BBQ, for dropping the 20 gifted memberships. BBQ.
Stock on decline.
Whoa. Sorry, BBQ. Wrong button. BBQ stock is on the rise. Appreciate BBQ up in this mug. Just dropping massive wads. He says, Smitty, blink twice if Krueger makes you hostage. Well, I got sunglasses on. We got to come up with some other code, BBQ. Some other code.